ground, this is your land, and these are the belongings, these are the, some, not quite so old as they should be, but these are the things that are part of your culture as Indigenous people on this land. Turtle Island was your home, and home to millions of people like you, and you lived in hundreds and hundreds of different nations. You fished, you hunted, and you farmed. Each community had its own language, its own culture, its traditions. It had its own laws and ways of governing. And as communities, you worked together and you cooperated with one another. In the 15th century, events occurring in Europe were setting the stage for settler colonialism to deeply, deeply impact remaining Indigenous societies all around the world. Your life here is about to be changed.
Without consulting you, we made deals amongst ourselves and divided up control over you and your lands. Usually whichever nation discovered your land first took control with the blessing of the Christian church.
In 2 years, through murder, mutilation, or suicide, half of the 250,000 Arawak people on Haiti were dead. You represent those Arawak who died as a result of Columbus's brutalities. Please step off the blanket.
Article 3 of the Northwest Ordinance Act of 1787 stated, "The utmost good faith shall always be observed towards the Indians. Their lands and property shall never be taken from them without their consent. In their property, rights, and liberty they shall never be invaded or disturbed unless in just and lawful wars authorized by Congress."
The United States increasingly viewed all of you not as sovereign nations, but as obstacles to further expansion and to further settlement, and soon declared that all Native people to be enemies of the state. President Jackson ignored all legal negotiations the Cherokee Nation was making with Congress to maintain their homelands, and chose to enact their forced relocation in 1837. This forced removal is known as the Trail of Tears. Half of the 16,000 Cherokee men, women, and children who were forced marched in the dead of winter perished on the journey from their homelands, which were in the area we now call Georgia and Alabama. And within 7 years, 46,000 of you were removed from your homelands east of the Mississippi. Your removal opened 25 million acres of land to the white settlement. Miners entered your villages. They raped your women. They killed your men. Instances were cited of miners who went on killing sprees, murdering 50 or more of you in a single day. Those of you who survived these attacks, you scattered, afraid to return to your homelands. Within 50 years of the discovery of gold, less than 20% of your population remained. Soon after being forced onto reservations, Congress passed the Dawes Act, which forced you to break up your communal societies on the reservations by dividing all tribal lands into small parcels for individual ownership. The Dawes Act functioned as a legal tool for the white population to gain ownership of reservation lands. Over the next 40 years, you lost over 90 million acres, nearly 2/3 of the original reservation land slotted by the government. And by the year 1900, thousands of children were attending close to over 150 boarding schools throughout the United States and many, many more within Canada. The school's purpose was to strip children of their culture, to remove them from the influence of their family and of their tribe.
You need to come with us now.
No,
You need to come with us.
no, this is my
You don't
daughter.
know,
No,
you don't know how to
cannot
educate your own
take
children?
her.
We need to
No.
save her. We need to save her.
No,
Yes,
no,
you don't
no,
know what you're
you can't
doing.
have my child.
this off. This is demonic. This is not of God. Take it off.
No.
It's looking better already, right? It's looking better already.
Much better, much better.
Better already.
No! My hair!
No.
My hair!
Look at the problems our people have now with things like substance abuse, lack of identity, diabetes. Look at the crisis that the earth is in with pollution, with climate change. Our history tells us how this came about. Sometimes when people learn about the broken treaties, the relocation and genocide, they feel guilty about what happened to Native Americans. Those feelings are okay as long as we move past them and try to help each other now as human beings. No one here today made these things happen. But we are the ones who are living now, and we need to understand that we are all in this together.